Hello, we are live again. So welcome everybody. It's Monday, isn't it? It's a new week, it's a new month. Do you feel these little inklings of I should be changing something, I should be doing something, the year's running out? Well, really happy to welcome Dale again. So we're going to have a chat today talking about fear, because it's something that comes up a lot, I think, when we think about it. And it is the main reason why we don't tend to make the changes that we want to or that we think we should. So we're going to peruse this for a little bit this afternoon. And I'm going to pass you over to Dale, because you've had quite a frightening experience, haven't you, in terms of your osteoporosis. Do you want to tell us about that?
Yeah, basically what happened, Mel, was I think sometimes I think I'm invincible. And what happened last January was I got out of the shower, I was playing with the dogs, and I reached over and I heard like 3 really loud cracks from my spine. And I was just, the pain was, I can't even describe it. But nothing really registered in, you know, that I didn't know my spine had fractured. Osteoporosis is a silent disease, you know, it just creeps up on you and then your spine fractures and you go, and then through x-rays and scans and, you know, consultation with the doctor, you find out you have it. So I wasn't scared until I went and I went to see a doctor because the pain was just indescribable. I just thought that I'd like slipped something, that there was nothing really, really wrong. And so I got these x-rays back, and when I looked at my spine, it was almost invisible. And I drove an hour and a half to a big city called Almeria to see a specialist American not chiropodist, that's your feet. What do you call it? Chiropractor. I'll get the story right in a minute. When he said to me, this is the worst x-ray of a spine I've ever seen, as he started talking to me, I felt my stomach go. And in the past, I know when I've had to stand on the stage, you know, in those early days of speaking and stuff like that, I would spend all the time in the toilet before I had to go on the stage. I'd be like drinking loads of water because my mouth was dry, to keep going to the bathroom. I leave it to your imagination. Well, that's what happened in his office. I had to excuse myself because my body just reacted. And I remember sitting in the bathroom thinking, I won't say what I said, but I was swearing like, oh. And I didn't know, you know. So I finished the conversation with him. I went and walked out into the street. I just cried. And then it was, what if my body can't get me to the car? What if everything in my body crumbles? And all this what if was going on. And because I hadn't rested up, then other stuff started to happen. And I ended up spending something like 18 or 19 days in bed in just excruciating pain. And I really needed to rest my spine. The next time I felt absolutely fit. I mean, what I basically did is I got my crazy woman. I got myself downstairs. By hook or by crook, I was going to journal. And so I got myself downstairs, and I've shown people this journal before. This is my osteoporosis journal. I went and got this journal, and I wrote all the time. I just kept writing. And I was terrified. I was terrified that I wouldn't be able to look after my dogs. I've got 3 dogs. I was terrified I'd never work again. I was terrified I wouldn't be able to walk. It was awful. But then, you see, what happened then is I went to see a specialist, and she wouldn't listen to me. And I'd written out my entire life history because I believe that everything comes from something that's happened along the way. And I translated it all into Spanish. She wouldn't read it. She just said, here's a prescription. And I stood in the street and cried again. And I was just like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? I am so scared. And I don't know when this kind of like little resilient thing. I know there's a thing called the Kubler-Ross curve, where you go into kind of like shock and then denial. and then anger and frustration. And then you start to kind of work out ways that you can do things. You make decisions and acceptance. And it's a time-based thing. I stood in the street and cried, and I got this prescription. My mother wanted me to take the drugs, and I'm like, there's something just went, I am not having this. Nobody, and then it was like that, it was that anger. Nobody's telling me what to do. I'm not, how dare that woman not read all, I've made all these notes about my entire life and all my generations, you know, my grandmother, my great grandmother, and all. How dare they? And it was this, right, now what do I do? So I was fired up. There was like a spirit that just went, woo, we're not having this. So I was still scared, but there was this fight in me that said, some like, I know the body, given the right resources, can heal. I know that food can make all the difference, as can energy medicine, as can a good mindset. So I came home and I thought, right, I ordered lots of books on osteoporosis. I said to you, I've journaled. I went through all my nutrition books. I remember lying in bed with all these books everywhere, books that I'd had for donkey's years, flicking through the index and reading, going, that's a load of, you know, people who are very, very revered in the nutrition field go, oh, that's a load of rubbish. That doesn't tell me anything. Get another book. And then finding this set of, I'm going to call them manuals, that I devoured. And I think what happened was because I kept my mind busy researching and writing in my journal and then doing different things. But what happened then, Mel, is I kind of went a bit nuts. Now you'll understand this as a nutritionist, right? So I'm in all these forums and people go, don't eat spinach. Spinach is high in oxalates. Oxalates take calcium out of your body. I'm like, oh, I love spinach. I love spinach covered in butter, and now I can't eat spinach. So then I went through this whole thing of, well, I can't eat all those things, but I can. I mean, my diet was amazing, I have to be honest. But I just kept looking, oh, phytates, right? Well, I need to soak my nuts, you know, and I need to do that. And you just become, you just go completely bonkers. I mean, I'm sure you've had people say the same, just go completely bonkers. Can't eat that, can't eat this, you know. And now when I look at my diet and stuff, it's like, if I want to eat spinach, why don't I add something that's extra calcium in it? So it takes that stuff away. And then the other thing I did is I took far too many supplements, so although I was having like kale smoothies in the morning, but kale and lots of other things, I put all this superfood in, and it's like, neck this stuff and do that and eat, and oh man, I tell you. And again, because there's so much fear around things like this, I took too many supplements. I know I take hardly any now. I take like maybe 1 or 2 a day. But you spend all your time in a fear, up and down like that, and it's almost like that that curve, just it's constant. You keep coming back to the beginning. So I had some other chemically things going. I had high prolactin. So prolactin is produced in the pituitary, and it's kind of like, you know, it's a precursor to lots of other things. So, you know, when you've had extra blood tests and you see something else, and it's like, oh, I've got to do, what have I got to do now to make my body work properly? So it's just this, it's like a constant cycle of in and out of fear, and finding that resilience and finding that a brave gene, that knowing that wisdom. But, you know, I guess I could have run away. I chose to fight. I know that, you know, if you're driving down the road, sometimes you see a rabbit and it freezes. So we do that, don't we? We run away, or we fight, or we freeze, and it just the most. I can't even begin to describe what it was like. But what I do know was, as you start to get better, instead of feeling fear, you feel quite excited. It's like, you know, when I went and had the second DEXA scan, so that's another kind of X-ray where they test the bone density. When I had the first one, I kind of like threw it on the floor, and it's like, what a waste of time. They've only scanned my lumbar, and they should have scanned where the fracture, you know, I was just like, angry again, angry. And then when my doctor said, you need to go for another one, I'm thinking, I can't see what the point is. And I thought, let's go. And when I'd seen that completely naturally, I'd increased my bone density by 2.2%, it was like this cloak of fear as I drove to the hospital. It fell away. The cloak of fear just fell away. I come out, I drove down the road, I pulled into this wasteland, and I sat, all the words just swam in front of my eyes, because I'd driven there in absolute terror, thinking, it hasn't worked. All that work I've done, it hasn't worked. My bones are going to be worse. I'm going to die. I can't, well, do you know, it's like, you know, I'd driven an hour and a half going, Arr! And then I stopped and I breathed, and it was like, oh my goodness me, it's improved. Oh, who can I tell? And then there was that excitement, because it is, isn't it? The fear and excitement are two, they're the same thing. We feel the same way in our body. So, you know, I think if anybody finds themselves in a fearful situation, journal as the first thing to do, or one of the things to do, but kind of breathe into it and really check in with your body and see what you're really being told.
Yeah, I think that's really important, isn't it? You've sort of talked through that sort of classic cycle of change, haven't you? You've got that, you had that really strong trigger, the shit scary, oh my God, this is it. And it's funny how with lots of things that we might be thinking about changing, we'll wonder if we shouldn't we? And we kind of have to wait for it to be bad enough. I think it's like, I speak to lots of people that go, you know, I should be able to do this. They kind of want to change, but actually they probably don't want it bad enough. There isn't something that's happened. And quite often, from my experience, there'll be either something that happens to ourselves, so like it did with you, Dale, or there'll be a trigger in terms of someone maybe close to us that we're connected to that sort of suddenly makes us have a wake-up call. And so we can struggle along for weeks, months, years, feeling stuck. And it's only when we get that trigger that we go, right, okay, I'm gonna do something about this. And I know, well, all sorts of circumstances over my life, I guess, but when I had basically a bit of a breakdown from when I was at work, I was lying on the sofa, which I did for many a week because I was just completely burnt out. And it was literally, I woke up one morning and I thought, shit, is this my life? Is this me until I retire? And that put the fear in me then. That was like, oh, no, I'm not going to live the rest of my life feeling like this. And then I made the decision. Didn't quite know what it was going to look like, but it was like, I'm not staying here anymore. And we may feel like we're going round and round in circles, don't we? I think it is very cyclical. I think, you know, we have an idea that we want to change and that we can remain focused, but as human beings, it's really unlikely that we're going to be that focused on it all the time. We're going to get sidetracked. You know, I think as we manage our expectations, and, you know, there's fear, there's all sorts of things that we can be frightened of. We can be frightened of failing. That was definitely me with my perfectionist traits going on. Fear of the unknown, fear of losing something. I mean, that might be just, I don't know, even though you're in that bad situation, it might be just losing that familiarity. Sometimes I think, God, our heads, they mess us up, don't they? They're so confusing.
They do. It's funny because 5 years ago, I was married to somebody and I discovered something that they had done. So basically, they've been living a interesting double life for the entire part of our relationship. But 6 weeks later, I woke up one morning and I'd been dreaming that he was going to murder me. And I was terrified. So what I did was I took the dogs to the vet, checked they had their passports, everything was up to date. We had a motorhome, I packed it up, I drove to Spain. I was like, I'm off, I'm leaving. And it was the dream that scared me, but my actions for the rest of the day, I was fueled by this most amazing thing called adrenaline.
Yeah.
And it was like, by 5 to 3, I'm out of this house, I'm gone, baby. And my mum was terrified because she would never drive such a long distance on her own, whereas I think, who cares? And I can remember coming out the ferry really, really early in the morning, me and my doglets, and just driving. Stopped every once in a while, had a little sleep, let the dogs have a wee poo and some food, and carried on driving. When I got to my mum, she literally collapsed in my arms. It was like, I'd be so worried. I wanted to go off on a big adventure and just like spend weeks driving. And she's like, so her fear actually stopped me doing that. But I needed to make sure that she was okay. But she was a wreck. And I think sometimes other people's fear stops you changing as well.
Yeah. Because we worry about what other people think, and
we do
put other people's needs first, don't we? And I was going to say that generally when we change, what I'd always think of is doing really small things. But you like literally packed up the car.
I know.
You say you were gone.
It's I tell you what I know about myself from relationships and things like jobs and whatever, is you push me, and then I will snap my fingers, and then I snap.
Yeah.
And then when I've snapped, I'm like, right, I'm out of here, I've gone. When the specialists wouldn't listen to me, it's like push, snap, push. So everything for me is you push me hard enough. I don't think I'm really like that anymore. I think that year of being so terribly ill has I actually, like you said, I do the little, so I'm like currently I'm having some blood tests and we're doing some other investigations around some other stuff. You don't need to push me into doing anything. It's like, yeah, just bring it on. Tell me what I've got to do. I'm not going to fight I still feel resistance. I know when my doctor said something to me recently and I'm like, they argued with me about what vitamin K2 was, told me it didn't exist. And it's like, yes, it does. You can't argue with, and I'm sitting there thinking, I don't care that you're a doctor, you can't argue with me, I know it exists. Yeah. And so momentarily I felt a little bit of resistance, and then it's like, just chill, go with the flow. Yeah. Everything's going to be okay. It's been okay before, it'll be okay again. But I think, we both journal, and I think for me, what has truly supported myself is this ability. It's not only to journal, but I'll often just take some time out. I walk the dogs and I just breathe. I do a lot of reframing. So I look at things that scare me from a different perspective. And every month, I created this for our 28 days program, but I have a series of these, and every month I sit down and I do what's called, greet the month. And I look at my goals, I look at my perfect day, look at where I am, look at where I'm going. And just before I start writing, this fear comes up. It's like, oh, you haven't done well enough last month. Oh, you could do better. And it's like, just chill, woman. Just come to your journal. Just write that stuff out. Just reflect on it. And I'm doing it right now. I should have written in here yesterday, and I'm going, oh. And okay, I've been away for the weekend. That was my excuse. Actually, I'll be sitting in bed tonight doing my greet the month exercises and writing about my perfect day and redoing my goals and stuff. But I can tell you, I took this away with me on the weekend, and all weekend I'm going, oh no. There's nothing wrong with my life or my business or anything. But I still get that. And I think it's probably excitement about what's to come. But
yeah, no, I can relate to that. Just, I think just the overanalyzing part of my brain, like you say, comparing it in terms of, did I do what I said I was going to do? Did I do all those things? And it's like, is this going to be better? Can I cope with this month? Am I going to be able to deal with whatever, which I don't know, whatever is going to happen? It's crazy, really. But yeah, like, I'm by no means a journaling or writing expert, but for me, God, it stops me procrastinating. For years I was like, yeah, I'm going to do that. But then I'd procrastinate by researching, do my homework.
That's me.
Do my research, plan it all out, because that's still being proactive and positive. I won't do anything. But now if I write it out in my journal, I have to agree with myself, my little steps. Then I can do it. Yeah.
I have a great exercise that I do at the beginning of every month, and it's based on a much bigger exercise. So every once in a while, I mean, I don't set a date on it, but it's kind of quarterly. I do an exercise that's called 45 Goals, Desires and Intentions. And I literally sit and write a list of 45 things that I want, because some people don't like the word goal. Some people like desire, some people like, intentions and manifestation and whatever. And I write 45 things that I want. So I might write, I want my bathroom painted. I want a new pellet burner. I want a new pair of shoes. I want some jeans. Oh, actually, I want 5 new clients. So it's kind of like you write all this stuff, and in between all the, I want this and I want that. And yeah. Oh, a new boyfriend would be quite nice if anyone's listening. And so I write all this stuff down, this list of 45 things, and then I go through and I put them into kind of life areas and I color code them. And I really, really enjoy doing it, because it just lets me empty my brain about the things that I want. And then I look at it and I go, actually, what are 5 really sensible goals, or whatever you want to call them, things I want to manifest, things that I really, truly, truly desire, that I can work on, that I can, if you want to smart goals, that actually I can work on and take some action towards, that will bring me what I want. And what I do in the 28 days journal and all the other journals is I actually every month I just write 15 of them down. But I now know, and in our course we go through the 45 goals, desires and intentions, but I know now at the beginning of the month I just write 15 things down, and I might just slip in a few, like I could do with a new shirt, or I'm actually having my bathroom painted. See, I manifested it. Well, I got to pay for it, but I did manifest it. But I think it's just stepping over that little threshold and finding something that works for you, but by writing it down and envisioning it, because that's what I do, is I use my journals because they're pretty. I can keep them, and I burn my other journals. I'm never going to burn the osteoporosis one. I've said I'll keep that forever, because it's just I want to always cry when I read it. It's like, oh, I don't really think that. But I burn all the others. But these, because they're so pretty, I keep them. And it just gives me this opportunity to look back and go, well, that was my goal then. And what did I do with it? And what steps did I take? And why didn't it work? And if it didn't work, well, don't beat myself up. What was my learning? So I've worked a way of kind of getting through life, I suppose. I always just think, well, you don't have a crystal ball. How can you possibly know? Breathe into it. Right. Reframe. Look around you. What can I do?
Yeah. And it's for me personally, it's been a real eye opener for me, because I think we've talked about before, I'm a very factual person. It has scientific basis. Things are either right or wrong, and then I'm coming around to embracing my inner woo, and it just gets this stuff out of my head.
It's great.
It's it's really, really powerful. And it is that thing of, I was really scared to do it, because I would criticize myself for not doing it, as I didn't know how to write, how I should. be doing it? What if I didn't do what I said I was going to do? Got caught up in all of that. But actually, it's a safe place for me. I mean, I'd have people that I talk to, but it's just a safe place to, like you say, brain dump and get this stuff out.
I know, it's just, I mean, I've been doing it for years, so my journaling has changed. But I know if I wake up in the middle of the night and I've got a racing brain and a racing heart, and there's something, for me, it doesn't matter what I write. Sometimes I don't even read it back the following day. I just have to get out whatever that is, whether it's anger, frustration, fear, anything. It's just write it. And then, you can go back to sleep. I normally put like a yoga nidra on, so it just kind of really relaxes the body. But, when I think about my journaling years ago, oh my goodness me, but I was in a state. Not very good at relationships, all sorts of stuff going on, hated lots of jobs that I was in. Oh, I remember the first time I ever got made redundant. Oh, it was just, you look back on all of that stuff, and we, just by taking little tiny steps every day and, connecting, for me, it's like connecting to my heart space. Checking in with, whether you call it God or source or the universe, just checking in. I mean, I am so very, very different. I know we talked about inner peace and happiness. I'm so much more content now. And I know that writing, and definitely, walking the dogs and being in Mother Nature, all of that has really, really helped bring me to a much more grounded space.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway,
what are we going to do?
We've got 4 more minutes. So should we talk about 28 days?
Oh, go on then.
Okay. So for anyone who is, I'm going to call it a crossroads. Now, it might be a crossroads in terms of like health, but maybe it's just like mind, body, spirit, soul, that kind of thing. You just feel like you're ready for a change. You're ready to think about or allow your mind to open, to explore any kind of possibilities. So we've got this program called 28 days, and it's split into 4 bits. So that first bit about opening the mind and getting the stuff out, it's all about kind of mindset. So the first thing we do on our 28-day program is mindset. And then we move into juicy life. So juicy life for me is like, what do we do to create a juicy life? But juicy life can also be, how do we hydrate ourselves with like water or nutrition or anything like that? And then we move into the third week, which is about nourish me. And again, for me, that's about how do I nourish my life? Now, you've already heard my osteoporosis story. So, I'm very big on what I hate the word should, but what should I eat to nourish my body? And I know, from Mel's side, she is the anti-diet queen. And I know, but I mean, had I met you in my 20s, you'd probably give me a good, but hey, we go through all those things. So we go through that, the mindset, the juicy life, the nourish me, and then we finish with a declutter. So declutter is about kind of letting, for me, that's kind of letting things go that don't serve you. Now that could be food that you eat. It could be unhelpful thoughts. It could be the clutter in your house. I've been doing a massive declutter. I'm about to get rid of lots more old clothes and all sorts of things. So what we're saying about these 28 days, it's not just about nutrition. It's not just about journaling. It's about how do we marry together some really, really useful tools and tips and techniques that's going to help you kickstart. It could be anything, because what might happen is you might come to this and go, you know what, I've been through 10 million diets. I'm really, really sick of it. And I just want a little bit of sensible advice. But actually what might come out of it, you might find that there's something that lies beneath that dieting thing. And all of a sudden you get an aha and you go, actually, it's not about food. It's about something else. And so what we're going to do through the coaching that we do is we're going to help you gently, whatever comes up, help you to see that in a different way and help you to reframe it, but also help you to start to love yourself, to start to nourish yourself, you know, and get rid of that crap, because we don't really need it. So it's a 28-day kickstart. So Mel, the price went up yesterday.
Went up yesterday to 147. Yeah.
Okay. So we got 4 places left. I'm wondering if, because we start on the 4th of September, I'm wondering if what we could do is go back to the original offer just for today. So anyone who wants to join, they've got 24 hours. And can we put it back to 97?
Yeah. Yeah. I'll put it back to 97. I'll do it soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
So anyone who wants to join 28 days to a new you, it's going to be 97. It's not 97 right now, so don't go to the website just yet, because you've obviously got to change it. So if you go to in fact, what we'll do is we'll put a link underneath. So it's going to be 97 for 24 hours, then it'll go up to back up to the 147. We start on the 4th of September. We've got a Facebook group. You'll get a digital version of this. This is available on Amazon, but you'll get a digital version of this that you can print out and complete. And obviously we'll explain how to use it and what to do and all that good stuff. Mel is on hand with mountains of information about, you know, good nutrition and hydration and stuff like that, because I understand you've researched it quite a lot.
Just a tad.
And then what you'll get at the end of the month is you will get this as an online course as our gift to you. So we haven't produced the course yet. We've outlined it. We've got the bare bones. So you get that, and that course is going out at 197. But you get that as part of this, and you get an extra. Just trying to think if I've got one anywhere. You get an extra journal. I don't know if this is it. I've been editing a client's book today, so I've got paper everywhere. So you'll get an extra Love to Journal again as a digital version, and this one covers simplicity, smiling, friendship and kindness, so you get that as well. So we've added loads of bonuses in, so truly hope that you will join us.
Yeah, we would love you to join us and see what September can bring for you. Okay, so yeah, I'll change the price on the website to 97. Bloody bargain if you ask me. I will post the link below the video. Fabulous. And we'll see you again next time.
Great. Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.